Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Brick walls came crashing to the ground in Tyler today as crews started demolishing old buildings to make way for the new Smith County Courthouse. We want to take a live look tonight at the progress made so far. Crews started the process just after 10:30 this morning with the Murphy Baker building, and you can see that's been reduced to rubble. They're working clockwise, and they'll do that over the next several weeks. Progress that requires tearing down history. The soundtrack in downtown Tyler today, falling bricks and shattering glass as crews began demolishing buildings on the east side of the square.
I know people were expecting a wrecking ball or for us to implode things, but it's not going to be that.
Instead, crews are using excavators in a process that's expected to take 4 to 5 weeks, all to make way for the new Smith County Courthouse, approved by voters in 2022.
Both last year and this year, we had to go up on the tax rate, but it was just because of that voter-approved tax increase for our debt service.
And while this project focuses on the future, it's not being done without respect for the past.
But it's interesting in the 1880s how they were smaller buildings with spaces in between them.
Architect Brandy Ziegler is thumbing through historical documentation compiled by a man hired by her firm to ensure the past is preserved while making progress.
Some of the buildings in the 1880s were a totally different landscape than what we now have that probably was built around the 1940s.
Along with documenting history, it will also be on display in the form of photos covering the walls of the new courthouse.
We're taking black and white photos of the facades, the details, everything from signage to brick detailing to even thresholds of the doors.
And while no one necessarily enjoys destroying history, the selection of this site took several things into consideration, like the fact that several of the buildings were already gutted by a fire back in 2009, plus the condition of some of the remaining buildings.
Out of the entire square and out of the entire downtown area, this just was the place that would be the best and most conducive for the new courthouse.
Putting the new building right between the courthouse annex and the county jail.
We're building, what I keep telling everyone is we're building a new historic building in that courthouse. We hope that's going to be 100+ years. We're really excited about it. I think everyone's going to be pleased.
Construction on the new courthouse is expected to begin this fall, and it's supposed to take about 2 years to build. It will take an additional year to demolish the current courthouse and move the employees inside the new building. A reminder